Cast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi everyone, welcome to today's session Ask the Expert that is dedicated to monitoring your work, and namely we're going to talk about Inbox, my work, dashboards, and reports. So, shortly about the session, it will take approximately 30 minutes, so 15 minutes will be or 15 up to 20 minutes is going to be dedicated to the demo, and the rest of the time, and also of course during the session, feel free to ask me any questions that you have. And there are two ways of how you can do it. The first one is either by raising your hand, so I could unmute you and you could ask your question live, or alternatively, you can always write me a question in the question box and I will address it right away as soon as I see it. Okay, so let's get started. And of course, this session is recorded. So if you would like to get a recording, then please let me know by writing your email address in the question box in case that differs from the one that you have initially registered with. So let's move on. First, let me introduce myself shortly. My name is Daria and I'm WRIKE Product Guru. And now I'm doing my best to help our customers to successfully implement WRIKE. And that means that I need to understand their business processes very clearly in order to help them to adjust WRIKE following their requirements. And what you will learn today. So there are main two spheres of focus. The first one is how to work out of my work and inbox in order to stay on top of all the current tasks, and how to utilize dashboards and reports to keep a track of ongoing work and create visibility with your team, or if you prefer to use it in your own way, then of course personally. And before we move on to my demo account, I would like to remind you of the essential framework of WRIKE. I really like to start my session with this presentation and with the essential framework of WRIKE, so it goes well and aligns well with the overall structure of WRIKE. So, how can we work with folders, projects, and tasks within WRIKE, and especially aligning it with today's topic? So folder, as you remember, this is your key container. That's where we need to extract data for your dashboards and for reports. And also it creates a visibility for your tasks. So folder is your main source. Project. Project is a type of a folder, so it's an additional container of all the data, and you can create reports solely based on projects, meaning that it would extract data across this type of a folder, excluding tasks, monitor project statuses and deadlines, and of course, whenever you create a report based on projects, it is always going to be up to date. And finally, a task. A task, as you remember, this is your main working unit in WRIKE, and basically this is what we need to get the highest visibility of. So task will be always also in your inbox, it will appear in my work, and also it will be in your dashboards and reports that will be based on tasks. So that's how we could align the essential framework of WRIKE with the monitoring panel that we are going to talk about today. So what the monitoring panel is consist of? As you remember, it is inbox, so you can stay on top of all your recent ad mentions, new assignments, items that you are shared on. My work is your personalized list of to-dos, and I will show you the key difference between my work and dashboards. Dashboard is your dynamic monitoring tool of ongoing work, your own work, or actually of your team. And finally, reports. It allows you to get all the data you need in a well-structured, up-to-date view. So let's now switch to my demo account and see how we can work from here. So the upper panel, as I mentioned, this is your monitoring panel. So Inbox. Since Inbox is constantly being developed, it has already a much larger functionality. So the first tab is your incoming tab, where you would get all your ad mentions whenever you're working on a specific task. And for example, here I can see the title of the task, National Geographic New Magazine Launch. And Agnes, she had mentioned me asking if we could make the background less mustard yellow. And once I click on this card, it will open up a task for me in the task view on the right. However, if I want to close it, I only need to move to another card. So what are the options? What I can do with this card? First, since we're talking about your work and monitoring your work, let's check our WRIKE.com/labs and what have we got there in terms of new functionalities. I'm using Inbox Snooze beta feature that you can test. And if you liked it, then of course, send our team a feedback, because those features that are getting a lot of positive feedback, then later we are going to release them and to roll them out for all the accounts of WRIKE. I have entered this link into our chat box, so feel free to copy it and save it to your bookmarks and check for all the new features that we have in our labs. Okay, moving on. So, as I mentioned, I can work with my cards within the incoming. So what can I do with this card? I can snooze it until 3 hours tomorrow or next week on Monday. I can archive this card so it no longer bothers me, and my incoming, I keep it clean. Next is the star icon. You can start the task, and by starting it from the card or from the task view, you will pin it to the start section in your inbox. So let me start, and it will immediately appear on my start section. This is one of the great ways to keep the list of all tasks that you want to refer to, or you want to do them today or throughout the week. So remember that option. And finally, if you want to go back to this task later on and it helps you to mark it as unread, go ahead, check this dot, and it will be highlighted in bold, meaning that this is unread. And also, what other types of notifications we get? Later, I will talk about reports, and this means that you can subscribe to a specific report in WRIKE. And once you have subscribed, you will get a card for a specific point of time that you have marked whenever you set a reminder. And you will get a direct link to your report. And once I click on it, a ready-to-view report is there for me that I can discuss with my team, or depending on the main goal. And also my meetings. In my meetings, this is also a functionality that you can check later on in WRIKE Labs. Next is my work. Right now, I'm using the new My Work that I have also enabled from the labs. So if you scroll down, you can see My Work update. So what's the difference between new and old My Work? The new one, it has 3 main tabs for you. The tasks that you want to do. You can also create a new task. All incoming ones, those that you recently assigned to yourself or somebody assigned to you and that you must do. Then also the section for today. So there are all the tasks that are overdue or falling into today. And finally, later. All my tasks. Here you can get the entire list of all the tasks that you're assigned to. So you can always work directly from this list. You can also unpin them from My Work if you prefer to keep the list clean. So it's up to you. And finally, tasks that you created by you. Why this section could be useful is simply that often we are losing a track of tasks that we have created. In terms, you're a manager and you are constantly creating important tasks for specific projects and assigning them to your team. And you need to keep track of those. So that is a location where you could put all your tasks. Well, it would keep it for you. However, let's quickly check how the old My Work would look. I will refresh my page since I disabled the new My Work update. Old My Work, it is also actually is favorite for some of our users. And this is a more of a manual dashboard. How so? First, I can close a task view from here, and all the highlighted in blue cards, that means that those are new assignments that you haven't checked yet. And in My Work, all the tasks that you are an assignee of and that are scheduled, they will fall into one of the categories that it is applicable to. Today's section, this week or next week, and later. So, if, however, you start dragging and dropping tasks from one section to another, My Work will remember your choice. So, let's check it out. For example, October 2nd, client review, I would put it into this week section. And once I click on this task, let me schedule it for today. And once I do so, you might think that it should jump into my today's category. Let me click OK. And nothing happens to this task. And the reason is because I manually pinned it to this week. And from now on, WRIKE will remember this choice and it will not modify this task regardless of a new date that I have set. So, some users really like this functionality because it allows them to kind of manually rearrange their tasks, to also play with their sorting directly from this list. They can put some tasks into the later section so they could refer to it later on. And most importantly, you can pin any task to My Work regardless of if you are an assignee of this task or not. If you have any questions about My Work, then please feel free to let me know by either using the question box or raising your hand and speaking live, and I'll be happy to answer all your questions, okay? So moving next, dashboards. Here I use my personal dashboards. Since we are talking about monitoring your work, this is the main focus on your personal work. And here, in case you haven't watched Increasing Your Productivity in WRIKE, then actually the example and the logics I use here is covered in this webinar as well. So very often we are running into the issue that first, we are losing our tasks across WRIKE account. Second, we are unable to organize and structurize them. And as a result, we cannot really complete the most important tasks. So what are the solutions here? Let's take a look at these widgets that I have created that help me insanely to be productive and efficient in WRIKE. So the very first one, the widget that I call my backlog. So how was it created? Once I expand my folder tree, I have my favorite assistant folder, and it is called My Assistant. I will start it, so it will jump into my Start section. And in My Assistant folder, I decided that there are some specific methods that I would like to follow in order to be productive. And whenever I get a new task, let's say I had a lunch with my colleague, or I had a discussion, or I've been at a meeting somewhere where I got an excellent idea, or we decided to cooperate with one of the colleagues, this is a place where I'm going to create all my new tasks. Why is it important? Because very often we start creating tasks in completely unpredictable locations, sometimes in the root account, sometimes in a completely irrelevant folder, maybe even on the company structure. And that means that if everybody is going to create tasks in completely chaotic folder, then that means that the task is likely to be lost. So to make sure that any task that you create from the mobile app, if you're even using WRIKE from any other application, make sure to have your My Backlog folder. And this is where you're going to create all your new tasks, something that later on you will prioritize. Next is the Inbox folder. The Inbox folder, this is the greatest way to consolidate all your work from emails or anywhere else where you're getting some incoming flow of work into this folder. So here, email integration will help you out. You can either set an email integration directly with this box. So all the tasks that you send to WRIKE at WRIKE.com, they will be landing into this particular folder. Or another way is I like to structurize everything from the beginning. So I have created my main 3 flows of incoming emails. The one is from Matt, then I have also a lot of emails coming from my clients, and internal emails with some important internal updates, something that I need to keep an eye on. So what did I do? I simply went to my specific folder, let's say it's clients folder. I clicked on a folder icon, and every single item in WRIKE has its unique email address. So I click on the permalink button in the folder view, and I simply saved this folder, the client's folder unique email address, into my contacts in my email box. And every time I get an important update from the client that later on I need to add to an existing task, I will be sending it to this contact directly into WRIKE. So let's take a look at the emails that I have received. One is writing a mocap request. So this is the title, the subject of the email that I got. Then the subject, the body of the email, it was input into the description field. And of course, all original attachments, they will be preserved as well. So here I can see the mocap. And of course, now my next step is to put it into a relevant folder. So that's what my inbox folder is for. And finally, the top 6. Very often users, they are trying to pick the most efficient way to prioritize their tasks so they're effective and productive, and they always keep an eye on most important things. And top 6 folder actually is created following the Ivy Lee method, and the key idea of his extremely effective method was that in the beginning of the day, create a list of the most important 6 things that are on your plate for today, and start working from the most important one to the least important. And by the end of the day, polish your list. So if you did not have time to complete a task, then move it to your tomorrow's list of to-dos. Why 6? Because following his experience, the number of 6 is the most, the likelihood that you would complete those 6 tasks is the highest. So keep it simple. Maybe actually your number is 5, depending on the complexity of your tasks. And maybe it is slightly more than 6. Maybe there are small tasks and the number is 10 is optimal for your workflow. It's up to you. So following this method, now I have my top 6. So this is a list I go to every day. It's always in front of me, and I work from this list. And my backlog, the folder where the folder that I try to keep clean, because that means that whenever I have a task that I have created there, I need to immediately apply a relevant category for it. And then the next thing that I did, I went to each of the folder. I did not touch any filters, so I kept them simple, all active, assigned to all. And all I did is simply I added to Darius' personal dashboard. Click on Add to Dashboard, and this is where I got all my widgets. However, finally, another important thing about gathering all your tasks across WRIKE. This is also a very common question that I've been recently having, is how to get tasks across the entire account. Because everybody is using WRIKE in a different way. They're creating tasks in different folders, and sometimes we struggle to find all of them. The answer is simple. You can go to your root account, and the root account is the name of the account that you're a member of. In my case, this is the best team. And from the best team, all you can do is to filter out all tasks that are active, because we need to see only active tasks, right? And the ones that you are an assignee of. So I will select the filter assigned to me, and now I see that in total, well, this is in the root account. I will enable show subfolders. It means that it would gather tasks across entire account that I'm a member of. And the number has changed from 14 tasks. I see I have 48 tasks across my account. So in order to be able to save this view, I need to add it the same way to the dashboard. And I will name it all my tasks, meaning that this is a list of all active tasks that are assigned to me. And this is a great start. There are some overdue tasks that do not have any folder. They're orphan tasks because that means that they don't belong to any project. And I can take an immediate action. I can put them into preferred locations, put them into the projects that they belong to, or delete them in case they are no longer relevant. And now from my dashboard, I can see this widget was created. And all I can do now is to use this widget as my main widget from where I start prioritizing my tasks. So how I'm going to do that? We see I have top 6 widget. That means that it was created from the top 6 folder, the later, my backlog, and overdue. Overdue allows me to control all the tasks that are overdue. So by the end of the day, I will take a look at all my tasks and I will check which ones are extremely important. What are these tasks that I want to start immediately working on? Let's say Ryanair mocap request is an extremely important one. I need to start working on it. All I need to do is to drag and drop this task into an appropriate widget. It will still remain in this widget, but it will appear on my top 6. And what happens to the task? We see that it immediately got the tag of top 6. And that's right, it applied all the filters that are in a destination widget. So we see this task now belongs to my top 6 folder. As soon as I remove this tag, this task will disappear from my top 6 list, and however, it still remains in all my tasks. I can do the same thing with later. Once I put it into the later, it will get the tag of later. So this way, why I really love dashboard is that this is one of the options of how I can help myself organize my workspace. But what if you're working with teams? And what are the most commonly used cases? Well, one of those is to monitor all the tasks that are assigned to a specific team. So let's take a look at Designers widget. Once I click on Edit widget, here is a preview of the results, the title of the widget, and where do I include all the tasks from. From the creative team, and also I include tasks from subfolders. And next, I want to see tasks that are assigned to all members of the designers team. So this means that every team member that belongs to this group and assigned a specific task is assigned, they will get on the list. And let's say 30 days ahead. Okay, still little few tasks. And now let's check for overdue. Oh, that doesn't seem right. Maybe actually I need to have a widget for overdue. So it gives me a better representation of all the work that's been overdue, and I need to immediately understand what's the bottleneck. Next is, for example, I have status widgets. How this type of widgets could be useful for you. Whenever you are working with the request forms, so all your incoming work first applies the status new, and let's say the next one is in progress, or any other status. So once you start dragging and dropping these tasks from the new widget to in progress, it would mean, and you can see this message set as in progress, by dragging and dropping tasks from one widget to another, this way you will simply change a status. So how the D&D works, from the previous widget, it will simply apply all the filters of a destination widget. The same option, the same way you could use whenever you need to assign projects. For example, you create a widget, and let's do it from the gear icon, create widget. And let's say I want to see active tasks by assignee. Now, actually, I'll create a widget from the scratch. So it will be all unassigned. Let's say you have request forms or requests that are coming and they're not yet assigned. And let's say there will be banner. Oh, let's keep them from the marketing folder. So I will gather them from the marketing folder, including tasks from subfolders. And next, I will select assignee unassigned. So that means there are a lot of tasks that were unassigned, and I will save it as a separate widget. And the next one, I could create a few additional widgets per each assignee. So that means that I can easily, quickly assign those tasks by dragging and dropping into the destination widget. So there are multiple ways. And of course, also a very common question that I get is what are the best practices that the dashboard is used and when to use the dashboards? The answer is very simple. First, you need to understand your key pain points. Is it monitoring the work of your team? Is it your personal monitoring of all the work that you need to do? Or what are the criteria that you would like to fulfill? And following those criteria, knowing that you can filter basically any list of tasks by simply creating a custom widget. Perhaps you want to monitor all your tasks or of some of your colleagues. Maybe tasks to do, you want to keep an eye on all the tasks that are due this month. Maybe task type, reviews, due date, start date, created date, or even completed date. Maybe you want to monitor all the tasks that were completed this week, yesterday, today, so you know what tasks were completed. So it's up to you. You can always delete widgets directly from the list of all the widgets. You can always create them or remove from the dashboard. So I hope you do have some questions about the dashboards. If not, then I'm ready to move on to our last piece of the monitoring panel. Okay, I see there are no questions just yet. So, and finally, reports. As I mentioned in the beginning, reports, it allows you to get a higher view of data in WRIKE. So when dashboards, dashboard is a tool to dynamically monitor something that is fluid, something that is changing constantly throughout the day, then reports is a representation of a larger amount of data. How it could be used. I can tell that our users are actively using already pre-built templates, such as active tasks by assignee. Perhaps you want to go on a Friday or on Monday to view all active tasks by assignee, just to see what's on the plate for all your team members on your team meeting. Weekly project status update. What is it? It means that here, WRIKE would gather all the projects across your account. The next, overdue tasks by assignee. This is an extremely popular template simply because we all very often happen to run into bottlenecks. And understanding the load of each assignee, checking why one individual has, for example, 18 overdue tasks while another has just 5. This is a good aspect to concentrate on. Project due this month, unassigned tasks, just like I did with the widget, you can actually create a report for that, or time spent this week. So let's take a look at overdue tasks by assignee. I need to select a folder. I would create it from the marketing folder. Optional, filter report by users or groups. Would I like to filter them or not? Well, personally, I don't want to because sometimes maybe some other individuals are also part of this project. Create a report. And here we go. Now I will adjust it slightly. I will unwrap the text and I will play a bit with columns. What type of data I need to see? I want to see actually a status, that's right. The parent folder, that's correct. The due date, exactly. And perhaps I also want to see the workflow or ID or something else. It's up to me. So it seems to be fine, so I'll keep it this way. And it already has done a grouping for me. You can always group your reports from the upper panel over here, and right now it's grouped by assignee. What does it mean? I can also add any additional grouping, for example, by the status. So I will collapse ands in Bill, actually everyone, just to show you how it could be used. Currently, we see that Agnes, she has two overdue tasks. One in progress and another one waiting for review. A good question to investigate. We can also directly open the task directly from the report to check what's going on with this particular task. And any changes that we do, for example, I will reschedule it for this week. I will close now the task and I will refresh the report. The task is now gone. So the report always keeps data up to date. And interestingly, Dom, he has 39 tasks, 35 inactive, in status active, and 2 waiting for review. Additionally, we can always edit our report. For example, I don't want to see all active. Instead, I only want to see tasks that are waiting for review, reviewed, good to go, changes required. Because those tasks that immediately must actually progress. And my report became much smaller. Now we see that each team member has approximately 1 to 4 tasks that are overdue and that are in a status that I have selected. And let's say that's a very good start of the week. So I will subscribe it for Monday. And at 9:30, when everybody is in the office, I will subscribe to this report and I will share it with the entire marketing team. So they also can subscribe to this report. And the most important thing is that whenever it's 9:30 on Monday, I don't need to go to reports and search for this one. All I need to do is to open up my incoming and the report that I'm subscribed to. I will get a direct link to it and I'm ready to have a discussion with my team. So that's pretty much everything that I wanted to share with you today. To make sure that you are now experts of the monitoring panel and which view you could use depending on your criteria, on your needs and requirements, and understand when you would like to when would you like to use my work, when it would be appropriate to use reports, or how to effectively use dashboards. So I'm open to your questions. So far, I see there were no questions. Perhaps you're overwhelmed with information, or perhaps everything was clear that you don't have any questions just right now. In case the session is over and all of a sudden you realize that you got a good question, don't worry. There is always a help and support button at the bottom of your page. And once you click on it, you will get redirected to our help center from where you can get the best support regardless of the difficulty of your question. And of course, make sure to check community, where our WRIKers are, and also actually WRIKE gurus are sharing their ideas. You can also filter by the topic, show all posts or show topics, and all the sections that we have in the community. And on top of that, make sure to check our next Ask the Expert sessions. Tomorrow, my colleague is going to talk about mastering collaboration and sharing. And in this particular topic, we are discussing how to work from a specific task, how WRIKE works from the collaborator's perspective. In collaborators, this is a mostly view mode license, and how to invite your partners or clients into WRIKE and make sure that they see only information that they need to see. And of course, come prepared. If you have any question, difficult use case, sometimes we have very active users who are literally explaining the entire workflow that they have and concerns, and we are happy to answer all cases and questions. So thank you very much for attending the session. Please leave your feedback, maybe with some future proposals. Maybe there is something else you would like to hear on our Ask the Expert. I will be happy to review it and to consider for the future Ask the Expert sessions. So thank you very much. And for those who would like to get a recording, let me know in the question box. So, thank you very much. Have a great rest of the week and stay productive with WRIKE. Bye.